name's Amy Barrett-Daffin, and I'm the publisher here at C&T Publishing. And today I'm going to talk to you about Make It Simpler Fusible Interfacing. And I'm going to show you how I use it to cut triangles off of strips so that I can secure my bias edges. So what I have here today is I've got my Make It Simpler Fusible Interfacing, and it's fusible on one side. And I'm going to show you how to use it on to secure your edges, and I'm also going to show you how to use it to get the most out of your batting. So first of all, what I'm going to do, I've got my beautiful Jelly Roll strips from Tula Pink from her Palms and Stripes and her True Colors fabric line. So I'm going to go ahead and cut this, and I will try to remember to close the rotary cutter, but I often forget. So forgive me if I forget to close the rotary cutter. So I'm going to go ahead and cut right here. Wow, what a difference a new blade makes. And I've got my piece off, and I'm going to move my rulers over to the side, and I'm going to grab my trusty ironing board. And I'm going to set it down, and I am going to put my fabric on it, and I'm going to have to move my fabric as I do this, but that's okay because we don't always have all the perfect tools. We make do with what we have. So it comes with a little reusable label in its little bag, and what you're going to do is just sort of measure out from this corner to that corner and clip a piece. And because this is a square, because I hate doing things over and over again, I'm just going to go ahead and measure another strip. And if you're like me and you drop the roll of this on the ground and it rolls away from you like toilet paper, it rolls back up really well. So that's my quick tip for today when you drop it, which I always do. And I always cut all my strips at one time because I like to do things very quickly and I hate wasting time. So I do everything as if I'm in a factory. So you start off, I usually just tack it down in the middle, and then that way I know when I'm going up it'll stay. And you can tell when it's fused because what you do is you see that the dots have sort of melted away. And so I'm going to do this side, then come down here, make sure it's nice and secure, set my hot iron down, and then I'm just going to turn it around. And do the same thing again. So I'm just going to start here in the middle, work my way up the side. Now I press my seams going in one direction, and I find that especially when you're doing this kind of a block where I'm going to cut it into quarters and then put it back together again, having the seams all going the same direction makes a big difference. So I know some people like to flatten their seams, but I think for something like this, this actually might work better. So then I'm going to take it and I'm going to do the other side so that we have a nice X marks the spot, and I always cut it long enough so it can go over the edge a little bit. Try not to iron it to your ironing mat, but know that it does stick and it'll stick on your ironing mat. So just sort of be mindful, and that's what the tip of the iron is really nice for, because you can get right up to your edge and not stick to your ironing board. So as you can see, it adheres pretty quickly, and it's a pretty fast process. I find it sort of soothing in a way because you're, whoop, see now I didn't straighten mine out very well. So I'm going to go ahead and realign it. There we go. And it'll still be fine because it's plenty wide, so it'll still do what we need it to do, even though I didn't go perfectly straight. Okay, so now I've got it ironed down. I'm going to go ahead and turn it back over and move my ironing pad away. And I am going to cut my fabric. Ooh, that's not going to work. So I have to go, I can go this way. So I'm going to go from point to point, and this is the same thing that happened to me the last time, is this is the longest ruler that I have. So then it's like, well, how do you make sure you get all the way to the edge? And I take a second ruler and I just go to the point right like that, and I line it up, and then I hold down both rulers at the same time. And what I do is I make sure I didn't slip. There we go. Are we lined up everywhere? There we go. Okay. Now really I'm going to cut this time. What do they say? Measure twice, cut once. And I'm going to point something out. This blade is actually on the wrong side for me. I'm left-handed, so typically I would switch it over, but I just opened this package, so I'm not going to worry about it right now. But just know that if you're left-handed, the blade should be on the side facing you, not the other side. It should always be on the side facing you. So that's a little thing you're going to notice, and that's okay. So I'm going to go ahead and start here, and I'm going to press down against my ruler, and I've already gotten here. So what I'm going to do is move it up just like that, hold it, and cut the rest of my piece. And you can see, I got one little spot. Now I got two little spots. I'm actually sitting down so that I fit in the video, and that is why my cuts and that and the blade's on the wrong side. Okay, so now what I'm going to have to do so that it's easy for you to continue seeing is I'm going to have to rotate it. Normally I'd be standing up and I would just shift my body, but because that's not really an option right now, I'm going to put that right there, put it back together, close enough, close. Okay, I'm going to do the same thing again. Close that. Okay, so now what I have are 4 pieces that have, and you can see here even where I got a little out of whack, you can see right here there was still plenty of the bias to make it work. So now I've got all these little squares, and I can go ahead and decide how they are going to be put together. So I could put them together point to point. I could put them together, I could make them the outside of something so they go on the edges on the outside. You have lots of choices how you're going to make this work. So you can just move them around until you come up with what the design is going to be for you. And that's how you do it. So you can see on the back, when you go to sew the blocks back together, they're going to go together really nicely. So you have a nice square pieces, they all line up, and then what's nice about it is you have no, unless you do that, you have no pull. So it stays together really nicely, and when you go to sew everything back together, it lines up really well. So that's how you do it. And that is tip number 1 for using the fusible interfacing. So next up what I want to show you is how to use the Make It Simpler Fusible Interfacing to make your batting go a long way. So I often end up with scrap pieces of batting, and I don't like wasting anything. I recycle, I compost, I hate wasting things. So I'm going to put a piece of batting, 2 pieces of batting together, and you'll notice I'm not even really lining it up. I'm not making great cuts. I'm just, I'm going to sort of squish it together, sort of zhuzh it together. But it's okay if there's a little bump here or there, because with the batting, you can just sort of smush it. And remember, you're going to wash it anyway, so it's going to be fine. And then you just lay your piece down on top, and you do sort of a rough cut. Just make sure it's long enough. I'm going to put my scissors back, put my roll back. My rotary cutter is locked, so we're good to go. And then I'm going to push it down just a little bit, and then I'm going to press it down right onto my batting. And the great thing is it puts it together and you're good to go. And what's nice is if you're like me and you have a piece of batting but it's not quite enough and you need to make it a little bit longer, this is your solution. If you're making a baby quilt that you need to make suddenly on the fly, this is a great solution. If you're dealing with a time in your life where it's harder to get out and go to the store, this is a great solution. So you just take your pieces of batting, you put down the single-sided fusible interfacing, and it's a great size. I think it's 1.5 inches, and then you get 15 yards on your roll. So this is 15 yards, and it's great. And I just used it on a quilt that I'm making that has curved piecing. So I've got strips, and then I've got a bigger piece on the other side, and getting those two to line up, I tried it without it and it didn't work. And then I put this on and I cut them, and easy peasy. So you have your fused batting now, and it is all one piece. It stays together. It's nice and secure, and you're ready to make your next quilt top and make your next quilt. So that is Make It Simpler Fusible Interfacing. And once again, the project that I did using Tulip Pink's fabric was from Jelly Roll Quilts, from Love Jelly Roll Quilts. And it's one of my new favorite books from C&T. So thank you very much. And if you have any questions, put them down in the comments. And if you like this video, give it a thumbs up. And don't forget to subscribe to C&T Publishing's YouTube channel. Thank you so much, and until I see you again. Bye-bye.